Hi, my name is Austin, and today I'm going to be talking about Eternals. This is a 2021 film directed by Chloe Zhao. Out of the options available to us, Eternals stood out to me the most because it's a movie I'm familiar with, and it tackles big concepts like the creation of the universe pre-Big Bang, the circle of life, the needs of the many versus the needs of the few, as well as big internal elements like diversity, loyalty, and identity. So there's a lot going on here within the characters as well as outwardly in the universe, and I thought it was a good movie to pick for this assignment. So the plot of Eternals is basically there's a group of inorganic, immortal beings that look like humans that were sent to Earth a long, long time ago by these creatures called Celestials. Celestials are basically space gods. They pre-exist the Big Bang. They're the reason for all life anywhere within Marvel. They're pretty much as a unit god in the Marvel universe. And they send Eternals to planet Earth to protect them from these creatures called deviants that are basically monster-looking animals that are going to kill human beings. Now, some of them look like birds, some look like tigers. They're just these giant, very vicious monsters, and Eternal's job is to protect us humans from these deviants. Now, we kind of learn later on in the movie that there's a lot more to it than that, but to kind of get the basic gist of it, most of the movie is that. The team of Eternals, this group of beings that look like humans, consists of Cersei, who is played by Gemma Chan. She's British Chinese, and she is a very kind and empathetic person. Icarus is played by Richard Madden. He is a Scottish man. He's very cold. He's very powerful. He's like Superman. He shoots lasers from his eyes and very strong. Then there's Kingo, who's played by Kumail Nanjiani. He's a Pakistani American, and he's kind of a lighter feel, brings a lighter touch to the movie. He's a guy who embraces his role as a human within humanity in the Eternals. He kind of is a Hollywood actor. Every 30 years, he like reinvents himself as his own kid, kind of just changes his facial hair a little bit so he could stay famous. He has a lot of fun with that. Then there's Makari, played by Lauren Ridloff, who is an African-American, Mexican-American. He's the first deaf superhero in the MCU, so that's a first for Marvel. And then Phastos is played by Brian Tyree Henry. He's an African-American. He's an inventor and an openly gay superhero, which is also a first for Marvel. And then there's a few more, but those are some of the main ones. Sprite is kind of like this one that can never age, and there's a lot of them, so there's a lot to get through here. But the movie follows their moral conflict. They find out that their job is to protect human beings so that way Earth can have enough people alive on it, so those people can be sacrificed to give birth to another celestial, so this giant, godlike being could be born from within the planet, wake up, kill all life on Earth, sacrifice everyone on Earth so that he can use the energy from Earth and his birth to create new stars, which will give life to countless other planets within the universe. So a lot of these Eternals kind of really grew to enjoy their time on Earth, so they weren't really down to just sacrifice the entire planet. Their friends are there, they fell in love with the planet. And others are fiercely loyal and follow orders to a fault. So Icarus is like that. He said, we have a job to do and we're going to do that job. And we can sacrifice, 6 billion people here on Earth for who knows how many trillions of lives that'll come alive later because this celestial is born. So they do a good job of kind of creating this internal conflict within the group. They end up, fighting each other and trying to prevent things from happening. And they end up stopping the celestial from being born, which could be catastrophic for potential lives. It's almost a big question about what's more important, life that exists now or life that could exist in the future. Is it okay to sacrifice 5 innocent people today for the potential safety of 100 innocent people in the future? And they do a good job of kind of visualizing that. So it's a good movie. I like it a lot. The plot's way more dense than that. Obviously, I have 4 minutes to talk about it, and it's a 2.5 hour long movie. That's pretty much it. Some of the Eternals want to do their job, and others have compassion and they have morals that they learned from being human, which are only things that exist here on Earth. We had to develop what we even consider good and bad for millions and millions of years of evolution. So it was a cool movie, and I liked it. And there's a lot going on in terms of the superheroes being different races, able or disabled, and black or white or Asian. There's a lot going on there. What stands out about the Eternals is you could tell that the director Zhao really wanted to challenge racial and gender stereotypes. But being a Hollywood movie, these stereotypes couldn't completely escape her. So you could tell she was trying to get away and make this a very global story from heroes that looked like people from around the world and lived in time periods in everywhere around the world. They're from all around the globe throughout history. They lived through all these times, and they talk about that throughout the movie. But there's a lot of things that they couldn't help but stay anchored to. Hollywood tropes. For example, Cersei. She is, like I said before, this caring, nurturing woman, which is a very female trait that is attributed to women in Hollywood. She's very kind and caring and compassionate. And then, like I said conversely earlier, Icarus is the man, the strong man, superhero guy who is very cold and powerful and staunch, and he's just, he's going to do what he wants to do regardless. These are stereotypes. Now, personally, I think that these are things that aren't necessarily a problem within movies, but they are stereotypes regardless. So it goes to show that even when you're making an effort to make something diverse and inclusive, at least compared to other Marvel movies, and you can tell there's a lot of things that are really hard to get away from, not just because they're Western films and that's how they have been told for a very long time, but because these are things that I think a lot of people in those roles can relate to. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's up for you to decide. This isn't me telling you that it's a bad thing that a director wants their soft, compassionate lead to be a woman and wants the man to be more of a kind of masculine figure. That's the director's choice. I don't have a problem with it. Certain people might. I think people speak with their wallets when it comes to this kind of thing. But you can tell they tried to get away from it, but when it comes to making a movie like this, it's hard to completely get away from any type of stereotypes at all. It just happens. As cultural theorist Stuart Hall explains in Representation, Cultural Representations and Signifying Practices. Representation is the production of meaning through language. It is an active process of creating and circulating ideas about reality. You could say that idea fits perfectly here. Eternals is producing a meaning about what diversity looks like. It's saying anyone can be a hero, but it's still shaped by older storytelling habits that introduce how we see race and gender. So, yes, it is trying to be more diverse, but also there are ways that we tell stories, and we've told stories for a very long time. Almost a habit of the being that is Hollywood movie production. If the being has been doing something for a very long time and it's been successful, it's going to be hard to get away from those types of things and still be successful. Impossible? No. So my critique and my personal take on Eternals. My biggest critique of Eternals, one, runtime. I don't think a movie needs to be 2.5 hours long, ever. There is no reason for that. They could have shortened that story up a lot, but I get there was a lot they were trying to get into. The ideas they were taking from the comics and Celestials in general and the birth of the universe. These are all big things that take time to explain, I understand. Doesn't need to be 2.5 hours. Two, a lot of the jokes and the callbacks that they did felt a little on the nose. They were really trying to, it felt like they were pulling from Marvel Phase 1 to get chuckles and kind of pull the audience of Marvel into this. Like, oh yeah, we're still Marvel. Like, remember, you knew Thor back in the day when he was a baby. He used to love you, right? Like, now you don't really know him that well. Or, oh yeah, King Arthur used to really have a crush on you. All these things that kind of felt a little cheesy. They could have told those jokes a little bit better. And they didn't have to rely on Marvel Phase 1. This is a new thing, but I get it. It was the most successful movie franchise world probably in the history of Earth. So you're going to kind of pull from that, especially if you also own it. So can't really fault them there, but I didn't love it. And then three, I think they did a good job. I think when it came to trying to attack deep questions about what it means to be human, the value of life, our ideas of empathy and morality and what we think is right and wrong, I think they did a good job of making that entertaining while also keeping the rule of cool, while also keeping everything very cool. There were big monsters, and there were laser beams, and there were giant space god robots that fucking create the universe. You know what I mean? So it was a very entertaining movie. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. It was far from perfect. Not in just being a movie in itself. If its job was to challenge racial and gender stereotypes as much as possible, did it do a good job? Did they try? Yeah. Were they perfect? No. Like I said earlier, there's things they just couldn't get away from. But do I think they did more than a lot of movies today? Most definitely. I think when you have a cast with people like Gemma Chan, Kumail Nanjiani, Lauren Ridloff, Brian Tyree Henry, Salma Hayek, Don Lee, like, there's a lot. Like, come on. I mean, I'll after this, I'm gonna put a picture, and you could see just the group of them in general. This isn't just a bunch of white people beating up a monster to save America. This is people from around the planet that look like people from around the planet, looking within themselves to challenge their own ideas and beliefs of what the right thing to do is now and for the future, to save a world that they fell in love with because they've been here and were able to absorb, adopt, and accept very human ideas of what is right and what is wrong. So I think they did a good job. So my question for you, the viewer, would be, do you think Eternals is going to change the way that Marvel tells stories? Do you think this is going to be kind of like the Disney thing where we're going to get, more diversity it's going to happen whether people like it or not? Or are we going to get kind of this attempt at diversity within the movies where we're still telling the same stories over and over again with the same stereotypes, if not gender-wise, then race-wise, unintentionally, but with more diverse casts? What do you think? Let me know in the comments.